Hey there, YouTube. Welcome back. We're going to talk about our ct70 clone, the IceBear Champion. Chris, what are we here for?
The 1,000-mile review.
1,000-mile review. So, after all summer of this being Chris's main mode of transportation, we have finally hit 1,604 kilometers, which is, how many miles, Chris? 1,000 miles. My last update was at 500 miles. And we'd had a lot of loose fittings, a lot of things that had fallen apart. The starter had come loose more than once, and even though I Loctited, it came loose again. And that's going to come back to haunt us in a minute. So Chris, from 500 miles to 975 miles, how did everything go?
Went fine.
Went fine. The only thing we changed in that time was the rear chain, because it had stretched out. So we now have a new chain. I know a lot of people with the 500-mile review were yelling at me to change the chain. This one has not rusted. I changed it right at 500. The thing's never been out of spec. It hasn't rusted. It's a much better chain. I haven't even had to adjust it yet. Although I think I probably should now. And everything went great till 975 miles. What happened, Chris?
The engine locked up.
So to explain how the engine locked up, what were you doing?
I was going to work, and then when I was riding down this hill, the engine just locked, and I started skidding. Right,
so he was riding to work, and all of a sudden the back tire locked up. He pulled over, put it in neutral. It went into neutral, no problem. You kicked the Kickstarter, and what happened?
It just wouldn't go.
It wouldn't go. So I didn't put any time to diagnosing what had happened to the engine, what was wrong. All I did was I went on Facebook. I found this SYX Moto engine the guy had taken out pretty much when his bike was brand new to put a 190 in. It's a manual clutch engine, and I just decided, forget it, put another one in. This is a 125 also. There's really no horsepower difference, but you do get a clutch and no kickstart. Chris, how long did it take to put the engine in?
Like an hour.
So easy, so easy. Basically, you have an engine mount here, an engine mount here. You take off the foot pegs, you loosen up the brake lever, you unplug the engine, and it drops right out. And the two of us, realistically, within an hour, we had this engine back in and running. But we had problems where the charging system, the lights, and everything were not working. And I'm going to thank Mini Bikes Mike's Garage. Shout out to Mini Bikes Garage, who answered my Facebook post on how to make it work. And what basically you have is, I have a stator here. So basically the stator is in your charging system on the bike. And this is basically your alternator, everything that runs, okay? And you see there's 5 wires running out if you have an electrical system that charges a battery. These 3 here make it run, okay? These 2 here are for your charging system. Now what I did, because I honestly had no idea, and this is where everything blew up, this is the old engine, and here's the colors of the wires on the engine that's coming out, and the same ones in the wiring harness of the bike. So I matched up my blue to blue, my green to green, my black with a red stripe to black with a red stripe, and then I put the yellow to a yellow, and I put the other yellow to a white. And the bike started up and ran. I had no lights. I would check the battery. The battery voltage was not going through the voltage regulator. I was getting 20 volts at the battery. So something was wrong. I was driving myself crazy. I couldn't figure it out. So I posted on a Facebook page for the ct70, or the IceBear Champion. And as I posted, I'm looking at Mini Bikes Mike's Garage on how the whole wiring harness worked for this bike. Great video. And Mike replied and said that he doesn't know why, but basically what you have to do, obviously these 3 match up to these 3. One yellow goes to the white and this yellow. And the other yellow, doesn't matter which one you do, you ground out. And as soon as I grounded that out, every single thing worked. So I probably spent 4 hours mucking with everything, trying to figure it out. And sometimes you just have to ask for help. And I did that, and now everything works. So Chris, why don't you fire it up? While I was at it, I also did the headlight mod, so the headlight turns on with T, and runs like purrs like a kitten. So, there we go. So then after I had the engine in and it was running, I decided to look at the old engine to figure out what happened. Feel that? And honestly, I thought I locked the engine up. And so I'm going to take the stator cover off because I figured this out while I was trying to wire it up. Chris, can you take that stator cover off? I can't do it with my hand, with one hand, because it's magnetized on there. The only thing is a giant magnet in there that's holding it on. Here, want to do the camera and I'll pull it off. Gee willikers. So, on this, as you see, the stator's a little different than the one that's on this bike, but they still work the same way. Now, this is, and I didn't know this is the chain that drives the starter. So the starter would go through here, and it went around this chain, and then it would bolt in. And what happened was that this got loose a couple times. We tightened it, but the battery in the bike was a little dead, so Chris was always kick-starting the bike anyway. And what happened, if I can loop it around, and you can see, is that the chain, when the starter got loose, came off and started to eat up in there and chew on everything. And as you can see right here, see that, Chris? Mm-hmm. How these are worn down? So basically the chain came off the starter, the chain looped around here, and then locked the engine up. So there's actually nothing wrong with this engine. This engine still runs great, or still would run great if it was in something. Doesn't smoke, doesn't make any weird noises. The problem was that the starter chain, because I did not know the starter was chain driven. I mean, look at that, it's so locked. Look at that, that won't even bend. Like, that's a chain and it won't bend. Like, this thing got chewed up in there. So with that said, we now have a new engine in here. I have a perfectly good engine here. Now I feel like we got to find something to put this engine in. Because, I mean, it's a good engine. Unfortunately, this is a misdiagnosis by me on why we need a new engine. But are you upset about the new engine, Chris?
No.
Why not?
I don't know, it's just fun, a little smoother.
So explain why you like the manual. Explain why you like the manual clutch engine better.
Well, it's just more fun to use, and like it's a little less clunky like the other one, because since you didn't have a clutch to use, like it was harder to, like, when you shifted gears, you had to match the RPMs by like holding into like a false neutral when you're shifting, and then that's how you kind of shifted. But with this, you could use your like clutch to make it a little smoother.
Yeah, so basically what you say is, like, with the automatic clutch, it's either engaged or disengaged, and when you would click the shifter, if you had it up between gears, it was a neutral. Then you'd rev match your engine and then let the clutch out so that you would have a little smoother shift. Otherwise, it was very, very clunky. Now it's like a regular motorcycle. One thing I would say, like, I got this motor for $125 off of Facebook. If I was going to look for another one of these motors, what is your biggest problem with the transmission of this motor, Chris? Maybe the shifting pattern?
Oh yeah, the shifting pattern. So like neutral is all the way down instead of in between first and second, which is kind of weird, especially when I'm coming to a stop, because I normally am used to just clicking down all the way to first, but sometimes I just like go to neutral. It just doesn't work out.
Right, you go to neutral and then you like you think you're going into first, you let the clutch out and you're not moving.
Yeah.
When I drove it, I felt the same thing. I went to the bottom of our driveway and I was gonna, like, I put it into what I thought was first, and then went to go up the driveway and I was in neutral. So if I was ever gonna actually order an engine, I'd definitely make one where it is one down, the rest up. But for $125, beggars can't be choosers. So Chris, should we take this thing for a spin? Mm-hmm. Maybe see how fast it goes?
Yeah.
Maybe I'll get an app on my phone with how fast it goes. We'll go down the road, come back, and we'll see how fast we get going.
All right.
All right, thanks, YouTube. We're going to pick up while we go for a spin. All right, Chris, so we're back. First good test drive with the new engine. What do you think of it?
It's nice. It's fast. Definitely fast.
It's fast. So when I took it out, I noticed, I don't know if it had any more power, but it definitely seemed to rev lower than the original motor. So now we have a GPS, okay? Well, how fast did you get going, buddy?
57.
57. Was it sketchy at 57 with these little wheels?
Not really. No, not that bad. You can hear the engine yelling, but yeah.
Okay, so what do you think the comfortable cruising speed on this bike is? Like, if you were on a long road, how fast do you think you could just comfortably go where the bike's happy, you're happy, it's not sketchy?
Probably like 45.
45?
Yeah.
So you think it's a 45-mile-an-hour bike? Really, anything more than that's pushing it?
Yeah.
I tend to agree. So you've put now 1,000 miles on it. We changed the engine for no damn reason. So we're at 1,600 now and 93 kilometers. We put a few since we did the last one, just to make sure everything was good. I want to say thank you to everybody who subscribed. Because what have we hit, Chris?
Oh, 1,000.
1,000 subscribers. So thank you all. I will be sending emails out shortly for who wins the t-shirt and the coffee mug. But if you want to get a t-shirt or coffee mug, let's do it again. Another t-shirt, another coffee mug at 1,500 subscribers. And we'll do another one out. And the next video will be Chris riding the Royal Enfield here, which I just went on. Maybe we'll do that this weekend. You can take that out, tell me what you think. Because I personally, right now, think this is, if you're going to buy a new bike, that's the best new bike to buy if you're a beginner. I thoroughly enjoy this bike. And I want you to take it for a good ride.
Okay.
So maybe we'll do that. We'll announce our winners. Does that work? All right, everybody. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for following Chris's journey on his Honda CT70 clone, which everyone yells at me that it's not a CT70 because it's shiny as crap. Well, it looks like a Honda CT70. And with how expensive real CT70s are now, and the fact that most of them don't have a title, so you can't drive it on the street, I think this is a very viable option. But as you can tell from all our work done to it, it is not the most reliable option. But I think it has a great little look to it. Thanks. Like, share, subscribe, and I appreciate everything. Thanks.